Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Renu. For the first time visitor, please care to subscribe my channel for future updates since I will be updating you on TR to PR twice or sometimes thrice in a week's time period. All the updates on AORs and whatever the things are happening around, I will be updating you time to time. I will also be covering federal skill category very soon. So stay tuned. Now, this is the quick update over here. Streams and application limits. So I'm going to talk about the TR and PR. In today's video, I will be covering more onto the latest information on the AORs. At the same time, I will be talking in detail about the documentation part one more time. A lot of people have confusion that we cannot validate it or we are not able to sign it or how to go about it, how to fill up the documentation part. I will be covering again step by step how to create and like how to submit the documentation here and which all documents are required to be there, mandatory or non-mandatory, and the quick update on what we have right now in terms of AOR and how you can actually link your account to GC key in case if you want to. You don't have to do it right away. It's not mandatory. However, if somebody wants to do it, you definitely can follow the process. And towards the end, I will be talking in detail about the NOCs. That's again a quick question in a lot of people's mind. So I will be talking more in detail about the national occupation classifications, few codes like 9617, 6611, and then 6622. There are a lot of NOCs and a lot of confusion. And again, I would be covering reference letter, how you can actually put your job duties into that. So without wasting time, let's dive into it. So this is a quick update. 20,000 is the application to be accepted, and we have received 2,188 so far. This is today's update, June 29th, 2021. And then in non-healthcare, 30,000 is the target, and we have received 17,599. Not a real good increase in terms of number what we have discussed last time. As you know that again, a lot of people have their booking ready for IELTS, so they must have got all the documentation part, and this is actually the best time, guys. So you can prepare your kit, get ready with all the documentation. So once you receive the IELTS, you just have to submit the documents and go about the upload. And I'm going to talk about how you can actually upload that too. For those who have not gone through my previous video, I have also discussed about the documentation part. This would be the video like where I have explained each and every thing in detail, step by step, how you can submit and fulfill the form. So it has got all the steps. So please go and check that information. I will be sending the link in description box below. Now, let's talk about the AOR. So timeline for TR to PR. So for those who actually have submitted their application on May the 6th around 12 to 12:30 or maybe 1 o'clock, they have started receiving, as I mentioned in my previous to previous video, like with a quick update, that people have started receiving PR, not AOR. It's permanent resident. So this is actually the quickest in the history of immigration. When I was associated with immigration industry, people used to take 3 at times 4 years, and those who have applied through paper-based process, they know what I'm talking about. We used to have file number, interview, or sometimes at waiver or medicals and then landing papers. So this is amazing. So people actually are taking like when you submit the application, maybe like on May 6th, it will take approximately 4 to 6 weeks. That's maximum. In case if all your documents are ready, sometimes if you have not submitted maybe the police clearance certificate or any update has to be there, you will have to link it with IRCC, uh, your secure account, and they will ask you to put the information by logging into your GC key, and that's how you can update the information. Otherwise you don't need to, and they would simply send you the PR. But before that, of course, the biometrics has to be done, and after following the information, it just take a couple of days. Can you believe it? Like during this time they are taking so less time. So this is pretty a quick process. So in case if anyone is applying or qualifying under this category, just go for it. Then second one is for essential worker stream A or B. So now in case of international students, it's actually started taking PR since everybody was ready with all the set of documents. For those who have applied for essential workers, they've also started getting permanent resident. So they are getting AOR within 4 to 5 weeks, again approximately the same time period. However, in terms of permanent resident, of course, it will take 1.5 month to 3 months depending upon the case to case, also with visa officer. Like as I mentioned time and again, it always the evaluation done by the visa officer. No consultant can actually guide you that okay, this much is going to be the time period, because every visa officer would evaluate your application in his own perspective. So in case if any document is falling short and if he's not convinced with your application, he would definitely ask you to link your account with IRCC, and then you have to submit the document out there. However, in case if he is convinced with your application, you will be able to get the permanent resident card within 1.5 to 3 months time period. Of course, the biometrics has to be done. Now you have to submit all the mandatory documents, as a lot of people had confusion. Please guys, you have to submit the IELTS test, that's mandatory, or it's like English test from IELTS or CELPIP should be valid. Please keep that in mind. And it has to be journal, not the academic. Now, the application form, I've already explained in detail how to go about it, but these have to be completed. Now, this is the first, the generic form. It has to be validated after filling it up, like under economic, TR to PR pathway. And if you are an individual, you can simply click, write down one here. And for people who are actually unmarried, you have to fill only set of documents, and I'll just explain you again because a lot of people still have confusion out there when they go about the documentation part. So please keep a note of it. I did explain it in my previous video. So this generic application form, that first one, IMM 0008 form, has to be filled by principal applicant. Additional dependent. Now, in case if you are married, you have to fill this up. Okay, that is for the dependent. But in case if you're not, you have to skip that, and then you have to fill the Schedule A. That means if you are not married, generic application form and Schedule A. Now, if you can see here, it's applicable in case if you're married. The Schedule A is again a background and declaration where you have to give the whole history, and I've explained in detail. I'll cover that again if you want to. Please do let me know in comment section if you want me to cover one more video on that. Then additional family information, IMM 5406. This would again include your father, your mother, your siblings details, and then you have to fill it up. This has to be filled by again the principal applicant. And then Schedule 3, it is mandatory and has to be filled by the principal applicant, where you have to put all the NOCs, and I'll be explaining a little more onto it today. Then is a supplementary information, your travels, and a lot of people still had confusion about it, like do we need to submit this or not. Now in this case, I'll just quickly cover it without wasting time. So this is the first form, generic application form, IMM 0008 form. After filling it up, you just have to validate it. Now in case if you're not married, you just have to stop here. You don't have to fill up after that, because you can just remove the dependent form here. And then this is the TR to PR form, 0130. So this has to be filled by the principal applicant. You have to fill up the information here, your name, like given name, Renu, family name. Section, if you're applying international graduates, is already filled, so you can choose stream A or B, whatever the option. Language proficiency, CLB4 is the requirement here, so you can choose that, yes. And then you have you ever completed the eligible program? Even if you say no or yes, doesn't make difference over here, because you're applying for essential workers. Then past Canadian work experience, you need to have that for sure. It has to be 12 months of authorized full-time experience in last 36 months. Please keep that in mind. And even if it's part-time, please guys, in case if you have worked for 3 months as a customer care representative, 2 months at a warehouse, 3 months as a security guard, don't worry about that. These all three professions are falling as it per NOC, so you're all good. Just make sure that you submit all the documentation. I'll be explaining a little more about it just to sort out your confusion here. Scroll down the page, you have to give all the history here. Sometimes people do have problem that we are not able to fill in these columns, and that's valid, because you cannot fill the history over here in 3 columns, where you might be working 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, because when you're working as a student, like you have to work as a student, you have to switch jobs, right? So you can always attach an additional document, and I'll be explaining a little more in detail a little later here. Then, are you physically present and working in Canada with valid work authorization and temporary resident status? Now, please click yes. And for those, you need to be physically present in Canada in case if you're applying under this category. If you're traveling to India, I'm sorry, you cannot apply it. And if you are planning to do it, just cut down onto that plan. This is more important. And also, you have to be on job when you're applying for this application. For say, if I'm working as a like maybe as a working as a security guard, so I have to be on job while applying for the position for this category. Now, once I'm through and for some reason I have been terminated by the company, don't need to worry about, because the eligibility says that you need to be working at the time of application. So you can always update that information when visa officer asks you, or send you the AOR. Okay. Then you have to list your current position and identify the dates of your employment. So over here you have to put the current position and your date. Now this column again could be not sufficient for some people. So sometimes you're working two jobs at the same time. So you can always attach a sheet with it. So you can put that 30 hours per week over here. And if you're working with another company, like maybe for say if you're working with a call center as a sales representative, right? So over here, like if you are spending 30 hours, you can put here, or even if it's 20 hours, don't need to worry, just put that number here and then attach a sheet. And then you have to mention the same duration, like for say if you're working at a warehouse for last 3 months. So put the date over here from to and hours per week, and then employer name for say maybe Shaw or Telus or wherever you're working as a sales or a call center representative. And if you're working as a Calgary airport at security guard, you can put the employer name Calgary, and then NOC, that's of security guard. I've already discussed, but I'll just cover that again for you. So security guard code would be it's 6541, and so you can put NOC over here and then position as security guard, and then you have to put your name over here and the date. That's it. You just have to save the document here. Now this is the traveling, this is the travel form. So for those who have never traveled, if you see here, so if there is not enough space to provide all information, use an extra sheet of paper, print your name and form's title on the additional sheet. So this is applicable for all the forms, okay? Put your name, family name, given name, and then you have to list all the trips. Now, in case if you have not traveled, just click on did not travel. That's it. You don't have to do anything. Did not travel, you know, and just save it, right? And if you have travel, and this is for you, for your spouse, and for your dependent child 18 years old, and that's just save the document and put your name and date at the bottom of the page. This is all for the forms. Now, in case if you have hired any consultant, you have to fill this use of representative. So definitely you have to put that information in there and just follow the instructions with the all checklist of the documents. Now, this is all for it. Then you have to fill the application forms. Then you need to provide the work proof with all the supporting documents required. Now, that is like T4 forms, ROE, record of your employment, pay stubs, reference letter from your current employer if you're able to demonstrate 1,560 hours in last 3 years as per the NOC listed in Annexure A or B. What does it mean is that in case if you're working with current company for more than like where you can actually demonstrate 1 year of experience, then definitely you need all the documents from the current employer. In case if you're not able to get it from the previous one, it should not impact your application, since the requirement what's been set by IRCC guidelines, you're meeting with the current employer. However, in the case where you don't have the proof with your current employer, you have to approach your previous employer and email them. Now sometimes they are not very they will not be receptive to do all the work for you because you've already left the company. In that case, you can provide the documents like the pay stubs. In case if you had the T4 of the previous one, you can submit that. ROE again would work here, and reference letter in case if you have received any experience letter. Even if they are not stating the job and responsibilities, you cannot do anything about it because it's the company has already been out of your list, right? You're not active out there. So you have to make sure that you get all the documentation with your current employer. Now, in case if you are working for, like, say, you just started working with a existing company for like last 1 month or 2 months time period, and majority of your work experience with your previous employer, to try to get the reference letter from the previous employer and write him or her via email. Now, even if the response is no, please attach that with your set of documents because that's going to help and boost your application. So basically, visa officer wants to evaluate each and everything, whatever is there. So your case should look, more crystal clear and transparent. Then these are the non-mandatory documents. PCC, as I mentioned before, it's not required upfront. In case if you have applied for your PCC, then you have to submit the letter. I've discussed in my previous video. Please check that information in the format where you can actually submit the format to visa officer stating that you have applied for police clearance certificate and you're just waiting for that. And you can actually do it through BLS. That's a website I have talked about. I'll just cover that again for you, BLS. And then you have to apply under your territory. So that is again the requirement here. So when you are actually applying, so it's Yeah, this is the one I'm talking about. So BLS, you can go here and you can apply for your police clearance certificate. Just follow the instructions out there. It's again self-explanatory. If you want, I can cover one video onto this. So you just have to go for police clearance certificate over here and choose the territory. For say, if I'm in Calgary, I will choose the jurisdiction here. So this BLS application center is Calgary, so I'll be choosing this one and just follow the instructions out there, put my passport number and all the details so it would be linked up to my application. Then medicals, you don't have to submit at the initial phase if you don't have that, and I did cover that query. You have to submit a proof of your appointment with the doctor, whatsoever. Then additional updates in terms of job, birth in the family, change in marital status, again, it can be updated at the later stage through your IRCC secure account. Now you have to ensure that your generic application form that has to be validate properly and should be done with 2D barcodes. Okay. Now this is the format I'm talking about, that reference letter. So for say if you are actually, let's talk about the NOCs over here. So this is the format of reference letter. You have to approach your employer, the existing one or the previous one. You have to get this format, like this is certified that so this is like put the name of your supervisor. I've discussed in detail, so just be quick here. This is to certify your name, was employed by companies and all that, and just attach your job duties over here, point wise point. Now let's move quickly over to the NOCs. Now these are the NOCs like 6611. It's again a cashier's. A lot of people have confusion. Like I'm working in A&W and Burger King. Guys, that NOC is not applicable. It's not considered to be valid under this. Why? I'll just explain you. Let's type 6611. So just be patient because this is going to take time. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do that because I am updating all the information time to time. And a lot of people have confusion, the same question time and again, and I have covered all the details. So please check my previous videos also. So this is 6612 cashiers. So if you see here, scroll down the page, you will be able to see the job duties over here is entirely different, right? It doesn't match with your food or beverages division. Establish or identify price of goods, services, or admission and tabulate total payment required using electronic or other cash register, optical price scanner, or other equipment. I don't think so. We do this as in that profile. So let's quickly jump on to the NOC where people actually have confusion with. So if you see 6711, so if you're working with the food and food counter, like this is the profile, would be more closer to your job duties here. Food counter attendants, kitchen helpers, and related support occupation. So this is actually what we do when we are working with McDonald's or A&W. Take orders, clean and peel, slice and trim food stuffs, use deep fryer. So you can go through it and it's all detail here. Again, whatever the job duties you see here, like for say, let's discuss, some people had confusion with NOCs. I'll have it 9617. Yeah. So this is again laborers in food and beverage processing. So if you see here, so laborers in food and beverages. Now let's see whether this NOC actually matches here or not. So when you scroll down the page, you have to go in an extra B and just keep going here. You will be able to see all the NOCs over here. So 9617 is what we are looking at, and this is here 9616, sorry, 9617. So this is actually in demand. So if you are meeting with the job duties mentioned over here, like this is the profile, bottle washing machine tender. Now if you see, these are the titles. These are the titles you will be getting as in this 9617. So if you are in frozen food packer, meat packager, I would say closer to it is in Loblaws, or profile in Save On Foods, or maybe like in TNT also, like nut sorter, food and beverage processing, production helper, or maybe like in warehouse or in a factory, brewery laborer. And then you must have seen the superstores, those warehouses again. In case if you're working actually under these profiles like dairy helper, food and beverage processing, like in the bakery session at the very back. So transport raw materials. Now these are the job duties should be there. Transport raw materials, finished products, and packaging materials throughout. Remove filled containers from conveyors. Clean work areas, equipment. So if you're actually matching up to these requirements, then definitely you're falling in this. So 9617. So whatever the job duties over here, you don't have to put all of it over here, like, sorry, here, under the description of job duties. So you have to make sure that at least 80% of your job duties should match with this, what it's mentioned out here. So even if you're not doing all of it, that's fine. And I would strongly recommend don't get the replica of it, because it would definitely indicate that you're actually fabricating documents. So just try to be very particular about it. Let's move on to link an application to your online account. Now, in case if you have any confusion with any NOCs, please let me know. I will definitely resolve your queries, guys. And I have covered NOCs in detail in my previous videos. Sometimes people do get confused, because if I'm working maybe like as an IT person, I would not like to go through the NOC of other person profile, right? So it's like a sheer wastage of time for them. So I would recommend whatever the confusion you have, you just write back to me. I will cover one more NOCs video in details. Now, this is like how you can link an application to your online account. You may want to link an application to your account to get the most up-to-date case status, get online updates for an application you submitted on paper, change your sign-in. Now, not all applications can be linked, okay? Apply in person or by email. So sorry, by mail. Create your online account. You need to have your online account, link your application to your account, and then get the updates and messages about your application online. So all you have to do is just you have to follow the instructions out there. I'll send the link in the description box. So you have to follow the steps over here. So sign in to your online account and create a new one. So you can simply do whatever works for you. Then again, here they have mentioned which applications can I link to an online account. So these are the FAQs you would like to go through it. Now again, when I clicked on this, these are the applications you can. So this is all not for you. Here we go. So this is the TR to PR, temporary resident to permanent resident pathway. So you can always check the application status here. And when you go here, you will be able to see, due to the impact of COVID-19, they have mentioned that sign into your IRCC secure account. So this is like sign in with your GC account. So this is actually, you have to go through it. So check your application status. You can go here and then you have to choose immigration and then continue. So it's going to take time. So these are the express entry applications, and these are for the, so it's just going to take time, and just follow the instructions. It will be updated automatically weekly. So you can fill up the information. So here we go with the sign in with GC key. So if you have that, that's fine. If you don't have that, you have to go here, register for it. Okay. So this is the, now you have to put your sign in, like your username over here, and your password in case if you already got the account. But in case if you don't have that, you definitely can create a new one and just follow the instructions. Now let's move on to the documentation part here. So how to apply about this? So when you go to how to apply, you will be able to see these are the forms, and again the tips and tips for downloading and filling it out application forms. Again, you have to upload the form and then enter your name and answer a security question. This is your electronic signature for the IMM 0008 form, and just follow the instructions. When you click on apply now, you will automatically go here, and then you have to apply for temporary resident to permanent resident pathway online. I'm choosing for essential workers, so just click on sign in option here. So when I go in sign in options, now you have to create an account if you don't have that. So you go to primary applicant, what pathway are you planning? So I'm trying to do stream B. Unique client identifier, it's actually the code which is given on to the right side of your, at the very top of your work permit and your study permit. You can put that number over here, and then your family name and your given name, your date of birth, marital status. Do you have a dependent child? In case if you're not, don't have that, put no. Upload your documents. Now scroll down the page, you will be able to see this. Now this I've already filled the same form which I have discussed in detail now with you. So generic application form, so you can actually save it. Now for say, let's quickly do it here. So this is the generic application form. You fill it up, validate it, and then all you have to do is just, let's do remove here. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to show you now. I'm going to click on add file. So make sure you fill it up first, and then I'm going to click on add file. So just going to take a little while over here. And when it goes, so I'm going to say it's I'm 0008 form. So I'm just going to do this, and that's it. And it's going to add the file over here. Same goes for other forms like Schedule 3, TR to PR pathway, 0130, mandatory again. Schedule A is again mandatory for the principal applicant. Supplementary information, your travels, again mandatory. So they have actually clarified then, which all documents has to be submitted by the principal applicant. Then copy of your biographical a data page of a passport or travel document, again mandatory. So get the scanned copy on your computer and then attach it, like add file. Additional family information, again mandatory. You have to put the information of father, mother, siblings. So in case if you don't have the family name, you can always put the first name as a family name just in case. Medical examination confirmation, again IME is a mandatory, so you have to submit the file. So you have to prove the document. Again, police certificates mandatory. You can always attach the supporting documents, the format I have discussed in previous video. Proof of authorization to work mandatory. Proof of current work experience mandatory. You keep on adding add file and then it will be uploaded on your system. Proof of entry and status in Canada mandatory. Proof of qualifying work experience, again mandatory. Click on add file. Additional dependents, then evidence of your common law. Again, in case if you are hiring any representative, you have to put mandatory if applicable. It's not mandatory for those who are applying on their own. Just keep that in mind. Marriage certificate, in case if you're married, you have to put that marriage certificate. Guys, you cannot submit the application without marriage certificate. Just keep that in mind. And then additional documents related to EAPR not captured in other fields. Again, you have to click on that add file in case if that's the thing. Then you can actually put the additional documents here also, right? And then authority to release personal information to a designated individual form, then mandatory if applicable. Then you put your spouse details like this, and the same goes, you submit the documents for spouse. It's again clearly mentioned Schedule A is mandatory. Copy of biography, same documents what we have discussed in digital photograph. Check if page is ready, click on it, and then you're good to go. And then you save it over here in case if you want to redo it again. Now, in case of English test, over here, where is there? Yeah. So in case of proof of your language proficiency, if you click here, so this is what they are asking for. Yeah, here. So what documents can I use to prove that I meet the citizenship language requirements? So IRCC approved third party test. So you have to get the IELTS or CELPIP, and then second a journal one, not the academic one. And these are the forms you will be talking about. I hope you have got the clarity on all the documentation part now. So if you have any confusion, do let me know. Don't forget to subscribe the channel because I'm going to update the information every now and then. So stay tuned and stay safe. Keep writing. I will try to answer within 24 to 48 business hours. Take care, guys.